Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. It is November the 10th, 2025. Joseph's been putting up shorts for people to watch on all our channels. He just did one about where Aaron Ross said, nobody believes we came from a rock. That's going to be hilarious. Look on that one. Spread that around to everybody, okay? Yes, you do believe you came from a rock if you believe in evolution. Okay, tonight will be in Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, dead center in the Bible, book of Psalms. Got Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. We're on a bunch of channels. Finally got over 200,000 on Facebook. Thank you. Tell your friends about us. Rumble, 10,000. Let's see, X, 2,200. Our own app, if you want to get on that, or Instagram, over 7,000 now, and 79,000 on TikTok. That adds up to a whole bunch, brother. Yeah, about 400, let's see, about 300,000. Please tell people about it. We want to win the world to Christ, okay? Let's see, November we did that already, the singing group. Tonight, the 10th, Ecclesiastes 8. Tomorrow night, Veterans Day, I'm going to be on another show at 7 o'clock, right? Broadcast here too, right? Yes. Yeah, okay. My dad was a vet, World War II, only survivor of his platoon, Marine Sergeant. So I got a whole bunch of stuff ready on that in case we have a glitch there. I'm excited about veterans. We love veterans. Come on down to Dinosaur Adventureland. We let them fish here. And the police, we let them fish. Everybody else, no. We're going to pay a bunch of money for fish just to give it away, right? Joseph, let them buy their own. Thanksgiving, come join us for Thanksgiving or Christmas. We'll be your family. Come on down. All kinds of stuff to do here. Anybody coming from Dallas, please give me a call. We got lots of stuff in Dallas needs brought here. Some if you can just carry anything. Got a bunch of fossils and different stuff to bring to here. Come help us to open for free. Join our 777 club. If I like what you're doing, winning souls. I'm going to help you. $1 a day, penny a day, whatever you can. Brother Ernie used to just cry when people from other countries would, send in, less than 10 cents, Probably have to work 3 days to get 2 pennies, And we just want to win souls, okay? If you don't want to help, get out of the way. We're going to do it anyway. So go drdino.com. 9.7 years now. Okay, go to slide number 480, enter. The Old Testament is everything before Jesus came. There are 39 books in the Old Testament. It happens there are 3 letters in Old and 9 letters in Testament. Easy way to memorize it. And 3 times 9 is 27, and there are 27 books in the New Testament. In the middle, there are what's called the poetry books, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. We've been going through the book of Ecclesiastes. He calls himself the preacher, the preacher, the preacher, the preacher. And he was King Solomon, okay? The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity, vanity, saith the preacher, all is vanity. He was the richest man that ever lived, the smartest man that ever lived. This is King Solomon writing, okay? According to 1 Kings 10, he got 666 talents of gold annually. That's about 25 tons or $4.7 million a day. If you can't live on that, you're living too high on the hog, okay? He had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Sad thing. Solomon loved the Lord. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon and said, what do you want? I'll give you one wish. Give thy servant an understanding heart. Lord, give me wisdom, okay? To understand, because I'm going to be the judge of all your people. Help me have wisdom to know what's right and wrong. And the speech pleased the Lord. And the Lord said, I've done according to thy words. I've given thee a wise and understanding heart, though there were none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall arise any unto thee. So Solomon became the smartest man ever to live. He wrote most of the book of Proverbs and the book of Ecclesiastes, and another one called the Song of Solomon. We'll get into that someday. God said, I've also given thee that which thou didst not ask, riches, honor. There shall not be among the kings like unto thee all thy days. So Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished his house. He had the biggest and fanciest house in the world. Had plenty of money, everything you could ask for. And his wives turned away his heart. The fanciest throne of anybody ever. Nobody had a throne like King Solomon. He had 1,400 chariots, 12,000 horsemen, had his own private army, had more money, more women, more wisdom, more honor, his own personal army, the biggest house. Did all that satisfy? No. He writes the book of Ecclesiastes, the words of the preacher, son of David, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Keep in mind, the whole book of Ecclesiastes is written from man's perspective, the wisest man, looking at life, looking at the world under the sun. This is not the way God sees things, and he tells us that clearly. Be careful about getting any Bible doctrine. From man's perspective, a dog dies, a man dies, they go to the grave. Jehovah's Witnesses jump on that and say, see, you go to the grave. No, Jehovah's Witness, read the whole book. It's the Solomon's wisdom without God, okay? It's true, Solomon said it. And God had it recorded and preserved perfectly. But what he said may not be true. The Bible accurately records the lies of the devil. It's true the devil said it, but it ain't true what he said, okay? So don't be careful about this. Under the sun, found 29 times in the Bible, all of them in the book of Ecclesiastes. Under the sun, it's man's perspective. Okay, chapter 8 explores the complexities of life, emphasizing the limits of human wisdom. There's a limit. You can't go any further. Solomon, he was the smartest guy. He said, can't go any farther than this. Importance of respecting authority while trusting God's justice. You may not understand what's going on. Maybe you got trouble in your life. I've had plenty in mine. Do you trust God in spite of it? That's what he wants to know. This book, chapter 8, advises obedience to the king's command out of reverence for the oath made before God, cautioning against hasty departure from the king's presence or involvement in evil matters. Be careful about getting involved in dumb stuff, okay? As the king holds absolute authority and will to do as he pleases. A wise person understands there's a proper time and procedure for every matter, even amidst heavy burdens, and you avoid rash decisions. Who is a wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. I counsel thee to keep the king's commandment, and that in regard of the oath of God. Be not hasty to go out of his sight. Stand not in an evil thing, for he doeth whatsoever pleaseth him. Be careful about getting the king upset, okay? Where the word of the king is, there is power. And who may say unto him, what doest thou? You don't walk into the king and say, what do you think you're doing? He's king, okay? Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. He who keeps a royal command, this is one of the commenters I found, experiences no trouble, for a wise heart knows the proper time and procedure. This verse encourages obedience to authority, suggesting those who follow the king's commandment will avoid harm, as the wise understand both the appropriate timing and the manner for action. Because to every purpose there is a time and judgment. Therefore, the misery of man is great upon him. Commentator, I think it was Matthew Henry. This verse emphasizes that every human endeavor or purpose has a designated time and a corresponding judgment, reflecting the idea that life unfolds within a framework of divine timing and moral accountability. The phrase, to every purpose there is a time and judgment, echoes the sentiment we saw back in chapter 3, which speaks of a time for every activity under heaven. For he knoweth not what shall be, and who can tell him when it shall be? There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit. He can't just decide, I'm not dying. If your spirit's leaving, go ahead, try to stop it. Neither hath he power in the day of death. There is no discharge in that war. It doesn't quit. Neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. All this have I seen and applied my heart unto every work that is done under the sun. There is a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. Sometimes somebody's the boss over somebody, he doesn't treat him right, and ends up hurting the boss. So I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of the holy, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This is vanity. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. What a thought. We think, boy, when somebody does something wrong, there ought to be instant punishment. Well, when wrongdoing is not swiftly punished, people become increasingly emboldened to commit further evil. The delay in judgment does not imply God's indifference, but reflects his patience and desire to give people time to repent and turn back. The delay is described as a merciful gift, allowing more time for individuals to overcome sin and grow spiritually. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him. The prolongation of a sinner's life is not a sign of God's approval. It's a reflection of God's patience, allowing time for repentance. Despite the apparent prosperity of the wicked, the author asserts that with certainty that it will ultimately be well for those who fear God. You just serve God, let God worry about the details. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not God. This is vanity, which is done. There is a vanity done upon the earth, that there be just men, unto whom it happeneth according to the work of the wicked. People do right and bad things happen to them. Again, there be wicked men whom it happeneth according to the work of the righteous. Sometimes people are wicked and they seem to prosper. Solomon said, this is vanity. Keep in mind, this is Solomon's view under the sun. Then I commended mirth, as laughter, jokes, because a man hath no better thing under the sun than to eat, drink, and be merry. For that shall abide with him of his labor that all the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun. When I applied mine heart to know wisdom and to see the business that is done upon the earth, for that also that there is neither day nor night, for also there is that neither day nor night shall see us sleep. They just work all the time. So he said, I saw the wisdom of the business that is done. Some people involved in business, they sacrifice their health to get wealth. They don't get sleep enough. Then I beheld all the work of God, that a man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun. Because though a man labor to seek it out, yet he shall not find it. Yea, further, though a wise man think to know it, yet shall he not be able to find it. See, sometimes we just simply don't know why. Are you going to trust God anyway? I've had tragedy in my life, put me in jail for 9 years for no reason, stole everything from me. What about it? What do you do? Oh, trust God. This happened in the book of Job. I used to preach on Job a lot, dinosaurs in the Bible. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. He was perfect, upright, and he feared God and hated evil. And he had 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance was great, 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-asses, and a very great household. He was the greatest man of all the men of the East. He was rich. Now, before the flood came, the people lived to be 900, okay? After the flood, they lived to be 400 for a while. Job was probably written during that time. Nobody knows for sure when it was written. But Job had 10 grown children. All of them died. Then he had 10 more children and saw his great-grandchildren from the second batch. I'd say you got to be living a long time to do that, okay? So Job lived 140 years, and this is after the trial, after his testing with Satan. And he saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So the messenger came and said, Job, the Sabians came and they stole all your stuff, and they killed all your servants. The fire of God came and burned up all the sheep, and they stole all the camels. Your sons and daughters were all killed. You can read the chapter. Everything's going wrong. Everything going wrong. All Job said was, the Lord gave, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's a hard one to do, but sometimes you just do not know, okay? Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils, from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. That means you can't sit comfortably, you can't stand, you can't lay down, you got boils everywhere. I've only had a couple of boils in my life. You ever had one, Joseph? I don't think so. It's like the world's worst is it. Oh my goodness. Any pressure on it and it makes you want to scream. And he had them all over, so what are you going to do? Can't sit, can't stand, can't lay down. His wife turned against him. Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. I'd say Job's having a bad week. Bible says the wife should reverence her husband, treat him like a god, offer him burnt sacrifices, morning, noon, and lunch. Okay. He said unto her, you speak like the foolish women. Shall we not receive good at the hand of God and not evil? Job trusted God in spite of everything going wrong. Then his 4 friends came to visit him. And they should have been comforting him, but he said, you're miserable comforters. Eliphaz started it off, whoever perished being innocent. This is the theme through the whole book of Job. Job, we came to visit you to tell you, you must have sinned. You must have done something wrong. Yeah, people do that. Hovind, you went to prison. You must have done something wrong. You lost everything. You must have done something wrong. That's the attitude they get. That's the wisdom of the world, okay? Don't go to the hospital when your friend's getting his gallstones taken out. Say, brother, these aren't gallstones. These are typhus. God's getting them out of you one way or another. Don't do that, okay? Job said, I wish the Lord would answer me. Chapter 31. So in chapter 38, the Lord answered Job out of a whirlwind. I advise you, if a tornado starts talking to you, pay attention. Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Here God, with one sentence, said, Job, your 4 friends and your wife did not know what they were talking about. So be careful about getting doctrine from Job also. It's true Bildad said it, but it might not be true what he said. Just be cautious. Rightly divide the word of truth, okay? God said, gird up now thy loins like a man. I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. I got some questions for you, Job. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? What? God says, Job, where were you when I built this world? Huh? Job doesn't answer. The Lord searches the hearts. He understands the imaginations of the thoughts. God knows the thoughts of man. I know their thoughts, and I know their works and their thoughts. Jesus, knowing their thoughts. Oh, wow, wait. Old Testament Isaiah said God knows their thoughts, and New Testament Luke says Jesus knows their thoughts. That's one of hundreds of verses you can put together and say, pretty simple. Jesus was God Almighty in the flesh, okay? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof? Job, who built this planet you're standing on? Job doesn't answer. Have you entered into the springs of the sea? Scientists didn't even know there were springs in the sea until 1977. God said, where is the way where light dwelleth? Boy, now that is interesting. Light doesn't stay in a place. Light is in a way. He said, as for darkness, where's the place thereof? Job doesn't answer the question. See, we're the children of light. We're supposed to be on the move, okay? So the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Gates don't attack you. You attack them. So get busy and do something for God. Whereas, in what way is the light parted which scattereth the east wind upon the earth? Does the light cause the wind? Ask any weatherman. Sure does. The hot air, sunlight heats the air, expands, rises, causes all the wind patterns from the sun, okay? And the light can be divided up through a prism into the visible spectrum. A little bitty slice. We can only see a small piece of it. Okay, God said, canst thou send lightnings? Well, it's a good thing I can't. How many of you can think of somebody that's lucky to be alive because you can't send the lightnings? Okay. Canst thou send the lightnings that they may go and say unto thee, here we are. Is God telling Job that electricity can be used to send a message? Like, telephone, radio, email, computers. Yeah, that's how it's all sent, folks, okay? God asked Job question after question after question. 84 questions by my count. Ready to go to chapter 41. Can you draw out Leviathan with a hook? And Job doesn't answer. I think Leviathan's fire-breathing dragon, probably the T-Rex or something like that. I did a video on that. It's on our channel there. Part of the miscellaneous series. You have that one separate too, Joseph? Leviathan, the fire-breathing dragon. There's a real good sermon in that one, I'll tell you what. It's also part of the series, the topical series. Yeah, it's a green one, I know. That's okay. All right. So everything went wrong. God asked Job 84 questions. God never answered any of Job's questions, not one. Instead, he asked him questions. And he gave Job an attitude adjustment. You parents know about that. Dad comes in, hey, son, I ask you some questions. Who bought that bed you slept on last night? Who paid for that food you eat and eat and eat? Who paid for this house you're living in, son? Who bought that bicycle for you? Just nod your head. Yes, Dad. Yes, Dad. Yes, Dad. Okay. God's asking Job questions to get an attitude adjustment. Sometimes we need that attitude adjustment ourselves. 84 questions. Would you trust God even if it looks like everything is going wrong? Even if you go to prison? Even if they're going to kill you? And it's happening all over in African countries, and they're killing Christians just because they're Christian. It's coming here. Remember that Aladdin movie? He said, will you trust me? Do you trust me? I think God says, hey, I know what I'm doing. See, if you go through trauma and tragedy, you get great rewards in heaven. You ever watch those football games? Those guys are out there banging into each other, hurting each other. Yeah, but the people in the stands are thinking, yay, you're going to get great rewards. You get a big paycheck, right? God, up in heaven, they're looking down saying, wow, hang in there. It's going to be worth it all, okay? All things work together for good to them that love God, to them that are the called according to his purpose. It doesn't say everything's good. It says it'll work together for good. I use this illustration on my seminar, part 3, about dinosaurs. I'll say, you ever been hungry? Oh, yeah, I'm hungry. Brother Hovind, I'm hungry. Here, how about a cup of flour? Would that taste good? No, that wouldn't taste good. How about a spoonful of salt? No, that wouldn't taste good. How about a teaspoon of baking soda? It doesn't taste good. How about a cup of buttermilk? Half a cup of Crisco and a cup of buttermilk. How about we mix them all together and make biscuits? See, they work together for biscuits. Individually, they taste bad. The things that happen in your life might not be good, but it'll work together for good if you love God, and you're called according to his purpose. Life is that simple. Okay, that was Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Joseph, any questions or comments? Are the dinosaurs in heaven? I hope so. We know there's some animals that come back on white horses, so I'm assuming heaven's going to have all kinds of cool stuff up there. What's your opinion about India? They should definitely keep it right where it's at. I don't know. Never been there. Don't know much about it. We've had people from India come here. They tried our satellite dishes talking in some of their Indian dialects, and it worked fine. We've tried our satellite dishes talking back and forth in 84 languages. Only one we can't get it to work in is sign language, and Joseph is working on that. Our tech guy, okay?
That group from Ocean Springs, Mississippi, that Baptist group, they're in the chat on TikTok. They say,
hey, Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I preached, listen, you got some sinners in Mississippi. You guys, get to work, okay? Do your job over there. Get everybody converted. Okay, what can you tell us about the great unconformity? A huge chunk of Earth's rock record is missing. The whole geologic column, it means nothing. There isn't, the layers are all formed during Noah's flood. And if you look at the layers that they talk about, all being millions of years different in age, stop and think about it. Okay, here, my geologic column out here. Okay. Get a close-up picture of Grand Canyon. There's, between the layers, there's no erosion, there's no soil built up, there's no tree roots. That layer sat there for millions of years and nothing happened. This is pure baloney. The geologic column does not exist. It's stupid, okay? So if they'll say, oh, well, there's unconformity. There's a whole section of our imaginary chart missing. Well, good. Maybe you ought to stop and think. Your chart's stupid. Didn't happen. There is no geologic column at all, okay? I'll shut this thing off here. Burn my sock off my foot, my little heater. Joseph, is it okay to have thermal underwear on under a Hawaiian shirt?
I believe so.
Okay. I don't care what's okay or not okay. I'm going to do it, okay? Never pop zits near your nose. You can get serious infections. Wow. Thank you so much, Crybaby. I appreciate that. Okay. What's the origin of evolutionism? That would be the devil. God designed everything. Devil said, I got to get some way to get people to stop believing in God. And evolution has worked for a bunch of folks. Okay. Let's see. I have a question. Are we still required to give tithes and offerings? Required might be a strong word. God said in Malachi, the last book of the Old Testament, he said, you're not blessed. I can't bless you because you're not tithing. If you give 10% of your increase, doesn't have to be your whole paycheck. I mean, if you have to spend $50 a week to get to work and you make $400 a week, well, then your increase is $350. Okay. But I don't want to cheat God out of anything. I just give it all. Okay. I don't. So, I got a ministry house I live in and utilities, so I don't have the bills to pay, I guess. But yeah, I don't think it's a requirement, but it's wise to do. They did in 1 Corinthians, they did bring the offerings to the Lord on the first day of the week, which is why the church meets the first day now. It's got nothing to do with the Sabbath. So yes, I don't think you're required. I think you should. And that's how the church and ministries are funded. People give 10%. See, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob had 13 kids, 1 daughter, 12 boys. They became the 12 tribes of Israel. God chose one of those tribes, Levi, to be in charge of all the, take care of the temple, take care of the offerings, read the Bible to the people, make copies of the Bible. They had a full-time job, just ministry work. So they couldn't have time to go take care of their sheep and cows and, plow a field and raise their crops. So he told the other 11, you guys tithe to the Levites. Well, let's just pick some numbers. Everybody makes $100 a week. 11 people are going to give $10 to the Levites. That means they're getting $110 a week. But they also have to pay for all the stuff at the temple. So it worked out fine for everybody. And God said, if you will bring the tithe into the storehouse, Malachi chapter 3, I'll pour you out a blessing. You won't be able to receive it. I've never in my 56 years been able to outgive God. It's like the more I do, the more he says, here. We wanted to get that Jeep the other day, Joseph. He needed $1,000. So, brother, we had 2,000. I said, okay, I'm going to get another 1,000. I go open the donation box. There's $1,000 in there. Right on time. Thank you, God. I sometimes wish he would do it a little early, but seems to always wait till the last minute. Okay. If I wouldn't have picked up a Bible, I would have still continued to believe in evolution and the Big Bang Theory. Well, I'm glad you picked it up. Big Bang Theory is the dumbest, evolution is the dumbest religion in the world. You really believe you're related to a potato and we all came from a rock. Joseph, that thing you did about a rock, it's only been up for, an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Check that out on our channel, okay? They do believe they came from a rock. That's so stupid. That's it. Okay. Tomorrow night, same time, Joseph? What's the show? Same time, 7?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock right here. And what's the name of the show?
It's Mike Weatherford. I believe it's Weatherford show.
Weatherford Show. Okay.
Mike Weatherford.
Mike Weatherford.
Yeah.
If you know anybody got a podcast, wants me to come on as a guest, give me a call. I want to stir up trouble before I die. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay. See you tomorrow night. Bye.